If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to yWrite. Hi, welcome to yWrite. I'm your host, Angela Grout. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of yWrite, where of course we're learning why writers write and why you should be writing your story too. For we all have that story in us, and how are you going to tell yours? Is it going to be in a book? Is it going to be on a stage? Well, today we're going to find out about how someone wrote quite a few books, and they're all on a page for you to pick up to buy because all of them are super educational and really great reads. So I want to introduce today the guest that I have. Her name is Dr. Pamela McMahon, and she is a holistic doctor and a national board certified counselor and hypnotherapist. Don't worry, we're not going to hypnotize you today. Mm-hmm. For over 30 years, Dr. McMahon has been treating folks ages 3 to 103. She practices in Arizona, Connecticut, and Prince Edward Island in Canada. And we're going to talk to her about those locations. She leads spiritual journeys and has a natural God-given gift to do intuitive readings and hands-on healing. I'm very excited to talk to her today. She was born here in Western Massachusetts. We both went to Cathedral High School. And she's written several books that provide readers healing modalities, including the titles, and we're going to show them and talk more about them, is The Transformational Power of Prayer, The Secret to Losing Weight in 10 Days, and How to Quit Drinking, a quick and short, easy guide. And then we also have a book about Prince Edward Island. So I want to welcome to the show Dr. Pamela McMahon.
Thank you so very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming into the studio.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So you have been writing for how many years now?
Yes, I started writing about a year to a year and a half ago.
Oh.
And I just really found it to be just really enjoyable. Found my passion in writing, and not that I don't enjoy seeing clients, but I've kind of taken a break from that and semi-retired, and this has become more of my full-time career.
Well, with a book, it's great because you can reach more clients.
That is exactly
true.
You
have so much great advice in these books. I mean, I've read them all. I enjoyed them all.
Thank you.
The Secret to Losing Weight in 10 Days. I mean, of course, everybody wants that secret.
Right.
And the fact that, you can share it in a book that people can have that's tangible in their hand and easy read.
Yes.
What prompted you to write these things?
I needed to lose weight in 10 days.
And you did?
I did. I had gained the 15 menopause pounds, and now I'm down to 135. So I had gotten up to 150, and I was shocked.
Wow.
And so by writing that book, I followed my advice, and here I am 15 pounds lighter.
That's awesome. I always tell everyone I'm dying at 130, which I'm hoping is my age, but it might be my weight.
That's awesome.
But I would like to lose, the weight in 10 days. What was the process of writing? Which book did you write first?
Yeah, so the first book that I wrote with my friend and partner, the Prince Edward Island book. And that's just more about just the beaches and just having fun. And, really when people go some places, they don't really know where to go. So we kind of
So it's a nice tour guide.
It sure is, absolutely. So that was the first one, and then the second one. Well, actually, that's not true. This was the first one that I wrote.
Okay, How to Quit Drinking.
How to Quit Drinking. This was to help clients and pretty much anybody who needed a little bit of assistance. And then the second one was the Prince Edward Island, and then I wrote The Secret to Losing Weight, and then The Transformative Power of Prayer.
So this one here, the How to Quit Drinking, the quick and easy guide. I have to say, everybody who wants to lose weight or quit drinking or something, it seems like such a hard task, but you've made it so simple.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it's a nice, short, easy, quick read that it's a good reference.
Yes, absolutely.
To have.
And made it so that you can use it really every day. It's a journal, and I really encourage people to...
Yeah, I do like how you have, places to put your notes.
Yep. And then also, too, there's a link in here to a great video that if it doesn't make you stop drinking, I don't know what will. So that's awesome. Scan that. It's on YouTube, and then take some notes from that. And I do recommend, like I said, you can read this so quickly every single day. Just, take.
So when you made that link, and I think you have another link in the prayer book.
Yep.
Okay. So you create your QR code.
Correct.
Where did you create your QR code? Because for writers out there looking to do this,
Yeah,
they might want to know
absolutely.
that.
So actually, Mari does that for me. So she's kind of the person behind. I do a lot of the
tech
writing.
stuff.
She does a lot of the tech stuff. So, but you can create it on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an easy thing.
And then
to
you
do.
own it and you put it on and it links to whatever
Absolutely.
site. Yeah. I mean, QR codes seem intimidating to people, but I realize how kind of
pretty
easy it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it
You
just
can
sounds complicated.
Google too how to do a QR code.
So when did you become a doctor and why did you go into this holistic field?
Yeah, so I became a doctor in 2010. So prior to that, I was a counselor and in the school system, and then I had leaky gut. And I spent years and years trying to figure out what was wrong with me. So through that process, I figured, well, why not go to school and get my degree,
100%,
my doctorate in it, and then I can help other people.
A lot of times we become what we most needed.
Exactly.
I mean,
so people were coming to see me, so many people, and every person had the same symptoms that I had. And I thought to myself, okay, God's sending me these people so that they don't have to go down this path. And I was able to help people so that they didn't have to suffer like I did.
Yeah, that's like, me starting the show Why Write, because I kept saying, why am I writing? And then I'm meeting all these people who love to share their stories of why they wrote. And then you just realize, when you have a voice and you have the wisdom and the education to share something,
absolutely,
you got to do it.
Isn't that interesting how that works? How the universe, God, spirit, source.
we come. So let's go right into God and spirit.
Sure,
because I am a very spiritual person. You have the transformational power of prayer.
Yes, absolutely.
I have to say, and you did it in hardcover, which I'm always impressed with an author does it in hardcover, because I'm like, ooh, hardcover, those are more expensive. But it's just like a sturdier book.
It is nice.
I mean, this is so well put together because you have all your headlines and things. Did you do the editing and formatting yourself, or did you have an editor?
So good question. I did it myself, but I did send it out just for the professional formatting of it. But I actually went through and edited and changed it. It took quite some time. I mean, for sure.
Well, because you have like little summaries at the end, and then the way everything is laid out, with your highlights, and you're doing something that's. I want to say it's an educational book, but it's a very, spiritual, empowering book. What was the call to write this?
So I grew up very spiritual. So at the age of 7, I remember giving my life to God. And then from there, I went to Christian school, thanks to my parents. And, I just found all throughout my life. Again, right before I got my license, I remember it was on March 2nd of 1989. I remember before I went in, I was so nervous. I remember asking God to just be with me. And there was this sense of peace that just came through me. Another story, I had the most crooked teeth when I was 8, and it was almost overnight that my teeth straightened out. And I remember hearing God say, I fixed that for you. I was like, you did? And I hate going to the dentist. And so I never had to have braces. And, so I always had that presence. And then I just, through my practice, when I was working with folks, I would know exactly where to go, what to tell them was wrong, where to put my hands. And I figured, I need to share this. I need for people to know, really the most powerful thing in the world is prayer.
100%. I so resonate with that. I had a similar experience around the age of 7.
Oh, wow.
So when you said that, I was like, oh, wow.
Interesting.
This, what is that? And, hearing God's voice and hearing him, talk to us is so beautiful, so powerful, and sometimes can be scary to people because, people think you're hearing voices and, but God's presence. And, when I teach confirmation, I'm always saying to the kids, if the voice is telling you to harm yourself or someone else, then you seek help. Because God's voice is always so loving and gentle and informative and encouraging.
Yes.
And definitely you share that in this.
Good.
It's, definitely shows your Christianity in this book.
Yeah, and I'm a progressive Christian. Sometimes when people say Christian, they think of, you're going to burn in hell and things like that. I don't go into that. I don't necessarily even believe in hell. I think that hell is what we put ourselves through when we don't 100%. Connect with the divine, really, honestly. So, but I do make a lot of reference to the Bible because, people do reference the Bible.
But you reference other religious books too. You do address other faiths.
Absolutely.
We do write what we know. If we're raised Catholic, we're going to kind of lean more towards writing what we know, which you have done.
Yes.
But, prayer is such a simple tool.
It is. I prayed the whole way here just because I love talking to God. I mean, he's my best friend, to be honest with you.
I'm always talking to him, and I'm like, okay, listen, please give me the words I need to say, guide me.
Exactly.
Let me ask the questions that I want to know the answers to, but that also, the audience wants to know too. And with prayer can transform your life, no doubt.
Sure
I have seen miracles happen, like you've talked about. I mean, I know I still have books in me to write about those, but right now I'm still writing other people's stories.
Yeah, no, you wrote your angel book, your angel story.
Yes, and that is the voice of God. I mean, it is, even though it's a person coming to me, and now we're going to transfer a little bit into your intuitive readings and things, because this is where you're using your intuition, your faith, your spirituality, and connecting to that God source. And, whether you're talking to, I mean, it's for me, it's all God.
Absolutely.
Just coming through in that unique individual that you might remember your grandmother as or something.
Right.
So with your practice and getting into using your own intuition of knowing, if you're Reiki master.
I am. Yes.
I did not say that in the intro.
That's okay.
But when you do Reiki on someone, you do have to follow your intuition. How did you get started with all of that?
Yeah, so...
And know to trust yourself.
It was an accident, actually. So I went to India in 2012, and I went there to just kind of do a healing. I stayed for 3 months. I had a fever that broke out. It was 104, and I remember laying there, and then at that moment, it was almost like I caught on fire, and I remember seeing God, and I remember hearing the voice that, you now have it. And I was like, I have what? And my hands just were on fire.
Gift of holy fire.
Yes. And then I went to learn Reiki. And while I was there in the class, the teacher said, I don't know who was at my feet, but whoever that was, and it was me. And I was like, oh, no, it's not me. It took a while because, we're humble.
Yes.
And so it took a little bit. But then the more I would see people, I would just touch somebody and they were healed. And I was like, okay, well, this is getting crazy. And at that time, I started hearing a voice, and it was in an accent. And so I was like, well, why is it an accent? And the answer was so that you'll know that it's us and that it's not you. So it was almost like this voice I had from, because
we have our own inner critic and our own inner guides.
And so this was and then I noticed when I was doing readings for people, my voice would change. I would start talking in almost tongues, and I started speaking one time. I was speaking, I don't even know what language.
But someone understood it.
Well, yes. And then the lady said, oh my gosh, thank you. And I was like, well, I don't even know what I just said to you, but you're very welcome.
And, being raised Catholic, I mean, when you go to make your confirmation, we're taught about all these different gifts, the gifts of healing, the gifts of prophecy, and I don't know if people are educated enough in them, to understand what they are.
Sure.
I mean, healing is kind of an easy one, I think, because people are like, oh, I'm going into the medical field, but it's can be so much more, and there's so many different ways to do it. I mean, with the voice, with the gift of prophecy or the gift of writing, is a whole nother thing. I mean, and some people, everyone's going to write something different. We all
Spirit
have
writing too. Yeah. I was just talking about that with my sister. I wrote a poem for my niece for her confirmation, and it was the first time I ever spirit wrote. And you write with your non-dominant hand, and you just put your hand down, and then whatever comes. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, well, I have written with my non-dominant hand.
Yeah,
it kind of looks a little spooky.
It does.
A little spooky.
That's how to start. And so, same thing with writing. I don't even necessarily know what I'm writing. I mean, I just sit down and just whatever comes out, and you just type.
Yeah. Well, I've interviewed performers who perform on stage, and they'll say when they're performing, sometimes they just almost have this out of body experience, so that when the performance is done, they're like, I don't even remember doing what I did.
Yes.
Because they know their work so well. And the first time I heard that, I was like, I get that, because sometimes you can sit at that paper, and I just write and write and write and write and write, and then if I put it away, and then the next day or a few days later go back and read it, and I'm like, wow, what's this? That's pretty good. Okay, what do I do with this now?
That's wonderful. That's great.
It's very interesting, to embrace our gifts and to share.
Yes.
So now here's another thing to talk about, and there was another book I wanted to talk about. The Prince Edward Island.
Oh yeah.
So when you're doing this one, you're sharing your own personal experiences.
Yes.
And how is that to, write when you're writing from your own personal experience, whereas these are more coming through you.
This was just fun. So this was kind of like, where are our favorite places? So we have a cottage up there on PEI, and so, you know, going around, taking the drive, we took a lot of notes about all their favorite places and beaches, and, you know, to be fair, Mari wrote more of that than I did. Well, I mean, but we did it together. But she's kind of like, you know, she's more meticulous. I have her read all of my stuff before I ever get it.
Definitely we definitely need that.
Yes.
So this, we know what you did for research.
Yep.
You drove around and said, these are all my favorite things. These are all my favorite places. This is the favorite stuff we do here. What kind of research did you have to do for these? And I know some of them come from your personal experience also.
Yeah, so the drinking one, I literally wrote in an hour. I woke up one morning and my guide said, write it, do it. And, you know, I, in my own personal life, I mean, I've probably drank more than I should have, you know, ever. I'm Irish. It runs in the blood. So I said to myself, you know, I don't really want to be drinking anymore either. So this was something I did, not just for me, but also for a lot of my clients and a lot of my friends, because everybody after the pandemic, I feel like people really got into the bottle as, you know, for comfort.
Well, it was comfort, for sure.
It was comfort, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so this was just written, and I wanted to do it so quick and easy so that way people could, you know, like I said, pick it up every single day, grab this book every morning and just write, just grab it, read it. And so this I literally wrote in an hour, and that was really no research other than just, you know, personal.
I love that. My Angel's Journey book I wrote in 7 hours nonstop.
Did you really?
Sat down,
oh my
binge
gosh.
wrote for 7 hours, and then tucked it away for a few years, and then brought it back out.
I can't wait to read it.
So yeah, it's definitely, I understand like the binge writing for sure. And then of course, by the time I got to April Rain, which is a murder mystery, it took
a little bit longer, right?
Much longer. A lot of research. It took about 20 years, start to finish. Interviewing a lot of characters, which I could say interviewing my muses, or, you know, the dead people that are talking to me or whatever. And, you know, it's just interesting how different books take on different things.
Yes.
So now with the transformational power of prayer.
Yes, that took me a little bit longer because I had to reference the Bible quite a bit. And so I stopped sleeping in 2020. And so I did. I mean, I went through insomnia for 5 years. I mean, it just is at the end of it now. But what I did at night to stay sane was I listened to the Bible on Audible. And then I also listened to Joel Osteen. So I just listened. So when I wrote this stuff, I referenced kind of what I remembered. I said, I remember this. Yeah. Not so much what I remember when I was a kid, because I don't really remember that much.
Well, I think when we're in school, we're learning more of the basics.
Yeah.
I don't know if it sticks with you, but then as we get adults, and, you know, you have some great Bible quotes in here that, you know, definitely do resonate with you. And, you know, one of them was just like, you know, if when God gives you the wisdom, he's going to give you the voice to use it. I wish I could quote the Bible and tell you where it was from. But I remember reading that going, you know what, that like is that's something I need to highlight, because, you know, sometimes you just get nervous about sharing what you know, but we know things.
And I feel like that book for people, I've already had so many people just say, you know, it really reminded them the power of prayer, because we all know it. We've all prayed before. I mean, I can't say everybody. I would say 99.9% of the population has said a prayer of some sort in their life, right? So we forget, though. We forget that the power behind that, and prayer can heal.
And it's nice how, you know, in this book you've shared like the types of prayers, you know, because you know, we forget sometimes like the prayer of gratitude is so important, because we always seem to, a lot of people, I'm guilty of it, you know, pray, do the begging prayer.
Right, exactly.
Please heal this person. Please let me win the lottery. Please let me find a parking spot.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then the petitionary prayer, like when we pray on behalf of somebody else, I mean, that's very powerful.
Very
when there's
powerful.
a group of people, and, you know, like, as you know from my brother Michael having his diagnosis, I mean, immediately when I heard that, I went on my knees, and I remember the power coming through me, and I said, I will not, and I will have not, you know, he will live a long life. God, please. And, you know, just knowing right then and there, that's the other thing too. Once you pray, know that it's done. Don't beg every day. Say,
well, that's the Mark 11:25. There's a great thing that's saying, if you've prayed, accept what you prayed for. Like, don't be asking over and over and over.
No.
It's like, Mommy, can I have water, 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 water? And it's like, she already gave you the water.
Right.
Like,
why you keep asking? Like when you go to a restaurant and you put your order in. Wouldn't it be funny if you just kept seeing the server and saying over and over, can I have that, my food, can I have my food? You already ordered the food.
Yes.
It's coming.
That is such a great example. I love that. You're right. You asked, now just wait to receive.
Exactly.
And say thank you for that receipt. I love that. Yes. And, for me, being raised Catholic, I do sometimes will, fall to the, and I hate to use the word crutch, but like to St. Peregrine, and pray, he's a patron saint of people with cancer. And, it's like, okay, you lose your keys. I can go to St. Anthony.
Right.
And there's all these like kind of delegated healers.
Sure.
But I mean, just to go to the source, and, your book definitely teaches about going straight to the source for every I would say every genre of religion, every religion.
Sure, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, like Archangel Raphael is great for a healing, So when I would do my healings, a lot of times I would call in Raphael, I would call in Archangel Michael, and so there's no, those are the highest archangels, God's helpers. So there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like if people.
So when you're doing Reiki, do you get their colors or?
Yeah, so
do you get that?
Yes, I do. And then what I would do is I would always stare in the mirror. I had a picture of Archangel Raphael, and I would wait. And this sounds funny and weird, but I would wait until my face would transform into Archangel Raphael, and then that's when I knew I was ready. And I would just put up my hands, feel the fire, and then go.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Totally get that. Like,
goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I mean, because I know, I have my master's in Reiki, and so when I've done it on people, like I tend to get flowers sometimes, and butterflies and birds and things like that. Anything surrounded in a garden, but I always will get colors.
Yeah.
So I will, quickly do the assessment in my head, which I should not do because you want to be out of your head, not thinking, doing it.
Right.
But be like, okay, what does this color mean? How do I translate this for the client so that they'll know, what's happening to them? Because I talk a lot, so I tend to talk through sessions.
That's okay.
Some people who do Reiki are very silent with everyone.
I am. I used to be a huge talker, I'll say, and now I don't know why, but when I talk, I feel something touch my lips and say shh.
Interesting.
And this is very funny. I'm going to say this is I went deaf once for a day.
Wow.
One day. And I said, what is going on? I didn't get nervous. I heard them say, do you like this? And I said, do I like what? They said, do you like the silence? I said, I actually really do. Do you want to stay like that? I was like, no, because there are some things I want to hear. Yeah. But anyway, so I have become, most people know me as the most social, talkative, outgoing. And I'm the opposite now.
Really?
I'm quiet. Like, I say very little. And what's wrong, Pam? Nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's just something that's just
so this is within like the last 10 years or 8 years?
Not even. I'd say in the last maybe year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it's because everything's going.
You've said it. You've said it. You're like, okay, this is what I want to talk about, but now you can read this. Yeah, your voice is in these pages.
Less is more. I'm like, okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how did you go about publishing your books?
Yeah, good question. So, Mari, again, is kind of the person who does a lot of that for me. We were working with a group that were just kind of helping us, coaching us, because who knows how to start writing a book, right? And so,
writing it, publishing it, formatting it,
But really, Amazon, to be honest with you, Amazon has been great. KDP, just going on there. And there are some publishing companies that I reached out to, but I just really thought, just self-publishing. And this, was so simple to self-publish. I thought, well, might as well do it with the others. So that's what we've used, KDP Publishing.
Yeah, I think it's very, very convenient that we can go to this KDP, go to Amazon. And I've done the same thing. The only thing I find that's kind of a negative is just reaching audiences.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Yes. Because they're not pushing you. They're not doing the publication.
So I've done some TikTok videos. I've done some, like Facebook. And you can boost, on Facebook. You can boost on TikTok. You can boost. The thing is, I didn't have a huge social media presence to start with. It's just because
private practice.
I just, for some reason, again, less is more.
And you're practicing in Connecticut, in Arizona, and in Prince Edward, so you're having audiences in those areas too. Do you do things in those communities to promote your books, or have you, or do you have things planned?
Good question. So I haven't yet, and again, I shared about the insomnia, so when I get back to 100%, I feel like my sleeping has gotten better, and I'm so thankful. So I've kind of semi-retired until that got better. So yes, but I will be going out. I will be promoting, and just really, again, just people like you.
Will you write more books?
I certainly will. My next one is Age Gracefully: Natural Cures and Holistic Healing for Seniors. Gentle remedies and time-tested therapies for pain, sleep, memory, energy, and more. So that's almost done. I've got a couple.
So it's aging gracefully, natural cures. Yeah, excuse me. And that is so important. Yes. I do some hospice, comfort care, things like that as a companion, and it is. I see them. People aging and trying to be comfortable and trying to eliminate pain, and there's so many ways that we can do it, including with the power of prayer.
Absolutely.
But also by losing weight and by not drinking. And so you're giving us all these very healthy
and
things.
Going to the beach.
And going to the beach. You're right. Yeah, you have definitely shared all the healing modalities.
I'm working on another book too. It's finished, but I just haven't done anything with it yet. If Jesus and Buddha had a baby.
Ooh.
And so what it focuses on is it's a spiritual blueprint for peace and wholeness in modern times. So it's a combination of different religions and what that sacred child would look like if those two came together.
Oh, I can't wait to read that one too. And you'll have to come back on when we can talk about that. Because Buddha definitely is that. Brings in the essence of peace.
Yes, absolutely.
Just peace, being in the moment, and living life.
Buddhist temples, if you have never been, there's a great one in Vernon that I go to just to sit, and you don't speak. You sit and you walk. You will just do a meditation for 20 minutes without a word, one step at a time. And it's just about sitting in silence.
Yeah.
You'll be so surprised at what you hear.
Is it like a labyrinth? Or you're just walking?
You're just walking in the temple, yeah. So you just go and, again, I don't proclaim myself to be a Buddhist, but really Buddhism is just
I think I walked one and I didn't realize that. Do they have one up at Krippala?
I don't know about that. They might.
I think they do.
Probably.
Although it might be, I don't know. I feel like I see the Buddha, but it might be the geisha.
The Ganesh?
Ganesh.
Yes. Oh, I love Ganesh.
That would be a totally different thing. So it might be that. I don't know. It's one or the other. But I just remember them saying just, walk around. And I was thinking it was going to be like a labyrinth, but it wasn't. So I bet you it was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and then, Jesus, we were raised Catholic. So, we have this inner knowing where I always just say, he came, he lived, he died.
Right.
He's preparing a place. Let's not worry about anything.
Exactly.
Let's just be nice and kind and things.
Absolutely.
So where can my audience, find your books, get your books, find out information about you?
Yeah, so Amazon.com, or they can email me, and then I can send them a copy. So
autograph copies.
Yes, autograph copy. You got that right. And it's actually cheaper if you do that. If I send it to you, it's less money. So,
nice,
because you don't have to pay.
You don't have to pay,
Exactly. So I have a lot of author copies of all these books. And so my email is lifehealer777@gmail.com.
I like that. Lifehealer777. Yeah, it's like playing the lottery. Or the casino, right?
Right. And I do have a website too, lifehealer.org. But the only thing on there is just ear candling, because that's what I do here locally.
Okay.
And then also detox foot baths. So I'm out of Nirvana Spa in Summers.
Nice.
So,
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I think you're darling. And I'm just, thank you so very much.
Well, I definitely highly recommend her books. They easy reads. I think I read each one in less than all together maybe 3 hours. All of them.
Good.
2 hours. So.
And that's what I also focus on too. Is if you notice, they're not that long.
Yeah,
because
quick reads.
Yeah,
yes.
Because sometimes you could just sit down, like you said, and just have a quick read. And this little journal again is made.
Well, especially with self-help books, people need the quick read because if they're not getting the information quick, then they're going to get frustrated and fall back into their old habits. So.
And I try to do not super small print, just because, especially with this senior book that's coming out, is going to be larger font because I think it's just nicer not to have to squint. We're at the age here where we.
That's a very good idea. Large print.
Large print. That's right.
Well, Dr. Pamela McMahon, thank you so much again. And I will put all the links in the show.
Okay.
And I want to thank Studio 954 for letting me have the show here today. And, this is the time in the show where I give you, the writing audience, a little prompt to do because, the show is about writing. So when the show is over, I want you to set your timer for, 5 minutes. My prompts are getting a little bit easier for you, but next week I'm going to make them harder. Maybe it won't be so easy. But today what I want you to do is I want you to make a list. We're going to make a list today. And then after you make that list, you want to set your timer for 20 minutes and pick something off that list and start writing. More power to you. But I want you to make a list of the things that you have expert wisdom on, whether it's something you've experienced, you've overcome. Write it down. I mean, have you stopped drinking in 10 days? Have you lost, 30 pounds in a day? Whatever it is, write it down. Make that list of the things that you're an expert on. Maybe it's just how to toilet train your child. You never know. And then, pick something and maybe start writing it. Maybe that's the story that you need to share because, if you have a story that can help someone else, then that's definitely the story that you need to write. So thank you for tuning in to yWrite, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.